Okay, this is looking good. I'm going to get going. And I just want to open up this 8th episode of our Dallas Influences Sport Entertainment Virtual Speaker Series by saying thank you. This is the last installment of this particular series that we started about 8 weeks ago when all our lives were turned upside down. And we focused on how the pandemic has affected our industry. And we just truly appreciate that you all have tuned in each week to listen and learn. Our gratitude also extends to those who have donated to the North Texas Food Bank. Please know that your gift is going to be generously matched by the Dallas Stars Foundation, the Texas Rangers Foundation, and the Dallas Mavericks. We'll be able to donate more than, I think, $13,500, plus whatever we raise today. So I'll go ahead and I'll put the donation link in the chat section. And if you're able to contribute, please know this is the last day to support our initiative. So do so. Thank you again, though, just for helping us make a difference to so many families during a very difficult time. My name is Carla Rosenberg, and I'm president of DICE and senior vice president for Sport5 Sports Marketing Agency. We have a lot of new attendees today, so just to let you know that DICE's members are DFW area professionals who are employed by or connected to sports and entertainment organizations. We host multiple events per year for members that focus on providing professional development, networking, and charitable activities. And we're very proud to share that we've provided over $700,000 to area nonprofits since our inception in 2013. We actually had a DICE board meeting last week. Rookie mistake, thought it would be a great idea to do it at the end of day on Friday. Not so much. Nonetheless, what we did accomplish was our next phase of programming, which is set to resolve around how diversity, inclusion, and equity manifest themselves, or how they don't in our industry. And we'll announce more on that soon. So keep a lookout for that. And I expect you can agree it's an important topic to be addressing. Along those lines, you might want to check out the virtual happy hour our friends at Black Sports Professionals North Texas are conducting tomorrow afternoon. You can visit BSP's LinkedIn page for details, and I'll also post that link in the chat section in a little bit as well. Please know you can ask questions throughout this program today. You do it through the Q&A feature below. I've noticed throughout the week some of you are sending it to the panelists. Just put it in the Q&A section below. That would be the best way for us to get your questions. In addition, we will have a poll. So you should all see that pop up on your screens right about now. All right. And I ask that all audience members fill this out, and we will address these results during the discussion. So let's meet our moderator and keynote speaker. Our moderator is Kern Egan. He is the co-founder and chairman of DICE and serves as president of Sport5. Sport5 operates as an international sports business agency with a global network of over 1,200 local experts based in 15 countries around the world. The company leverages that network to creatively connect brands, right holders, media platforms, and fans, and Kern is the head connector. Our featured speaker today has been with Southwest Airlines for nearly 2 decades. After she graduated from Texas A&M, her mom encouraged her to work for an airline so that if she had to work far away, at least she could travel home to South Texas for free. Well, that worked out. Good thinking by mom. At Southwest, she started on the brand team, focused on multicultural advertising, and then moved to the sports marketing team. She now leads the Experiential marketing sponsorships and content team. She and her husband, Ben, have a daughter, Madden, who just turned 7, and a son, Beckett, who is 3. And everyone is ready to travel again and can't wait for sports to come back. She is Millice. Thank you both for joining us today. And Kern, before I let you take off, there it is again, I just want to thank you for carving out time each week to do this for our group. We truly value your leadership, and specifically in these uncertain times, and also for tolerating my puns.
I don't know what I'm going to do for the remainder of the summer without those, but thank you for giving me an excuse to put a collared shirt on every week. This has been just a delight to be a part of. I can't wait to wrap it up with somebody that's very special in our community, both as it relates to DICE, as well as the business of sports in DFW. Melissa, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Kern. Thank you guys so much for having me today.
You guys do so much, not for just the world of sports, but for our community. You're helping us raise, hopefully just a little bit more money today that we can give back to North Texas Food Bank. And we're really looking forward to, delivering that funding. So let's just start with, Southwest Airlines has been, one of the poster children for, what we've all been going through personally and professionally in the last few months. Just kind of give us an update, on the brand and the business.
We're fighting, thankfully we save during the good times to prepare for the bad times. And, thankfully we had a record year in 2019 that really put us in a good position going into 2020. We had a strong January, a really strong February. And then as we all know, COVID-19 hit us. By the end of March, our load factors had fallen to roughly 5%. And business was down almost 97 to 98% from a year before. In April alone, we lost about $1 billion. But we're fighting, and we've got incredible leaders that are guiding us through this. We've got some really dynamic plans. Because of our strong position kind of going into this, we've been able to secure a little bit of cash to help us out. But the really encouraging thing is that we're starting to see signs of life, and we're starting to see that people are ready to travel and ready to get out there. And, I just really believe if anybody is positioned to survive this, it's us. And I truly believe we're going to come out of this stronger than ever.
We are here to support you. You are so important to our community here. And I know we're all rooting for you and looking forward to seeing that heart again and being back on those planes. So, working with different clients and brands, they're all structured a bit differently. Some handle sports and marketing and sponsorships within a marketing group. Some fits within a media group. Some has its own dedicated, group. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about how Southwest is organized, kind of what your role is and what your team does on behalf of the brand?
Sure. So our team is the Experiential Marketing and Sponsorships Group, and we recently just inherited the responsibility of managing all of the content, the social content needs for our marketing department. But what our team does is so important because it really allows our brand to come to life locally. Just through different passion points, such as Red Rocks in Denver, or the Orioles in Baltimore, or even here with the Rangers in Dallas. It really allows our customers to connect with us in meaningful ways. And our team is they're really the best at what they do. I'm so blessed to get to work with them every day. And they're really able to leverage our local opportunities and sponsorships to leverage any of our local market objectives in that market. So if our strategy team comes to us and says, okay, we need to go defend California, our team knows exactly what levers to pull, exactly what partners to reach out to, exactly what partners we should go out and look for to achieve any of those local market objectives. So it's a lot of fun. I've been doing this almost 20 years. I can't even believe that. But because of the group of people that we work with every day, it's so fun, and we get to do some really incredible things, and I'm just so grateful for the opportunity.
Well, speaking of fun, it's been a fun few months for all of us in this, in this industry. We have partners that have gone offline on us, to a large extent. But I believe that urgency, creates innovation. Already seeing, quite a bit of interesting new fan engagement, platforms that come both from our properties and our sponsors. Tell us kind of how Southwest has sort of pivoted and how you're working with your partners to deal with this new reality.
Now, I'm not going to lie, it's been pretty challenging. Our partners have been amazing, and they've brought us opportunities. But at the beginning of this, our message was really focused on education, what Southwest is doing for customers, how to cancel your flight. And so now that we're more in a rhythm, we're able to finally do a little bit more with our partners, some stuff that's a little bit more fun, such as virtual happy hours with some of our players and our Rapid Reward members. But just looking forward and moving forward is challenging, right? Because our teams are looking to us and asking us, okay, what do you want to do? What do you want the season to look like? How do you guys want to move forward? What budgets do you have to put toward this? And, we just kind of have to push back a little bit because, again, we lost $1 billion in April. So to go to my leadership team and say, okay, I need, X amount of dollars for the Baltimore Orioles, their first question is going to be, well, what are you buying? What are you getting? And so, I need to be able to go to them with a plan that says, okay, there's going to be 40 home games. At this point, we don't know where they're playing. We don't know if they're playing if fans are going to be in the stadiums. And so all of those things, it's kind of the chicken or the egg, right? It's how do we create these plans without having anything to work off of? And so thankfully our partners have been amazing, but that's just been the real challenge. As much as I want to ask the team to go and plan and create these, back to MLB plans or back to NHL plans, it's really challenging. And, I also don't want them to create wasted work because they just don't have enough information to work off of right now. So it's just a challenging time. And I think until we have a little bit more information as the partner, that's when we can then go and feel good about asking for those dollars to support teams or figure out what those plans look like.
I know all of your partners are just waiting for the day they get that call because I know they consider you probably one of their best partners, probably across your portfolio. Well, I think all of us would probably bet, on Southwest and making it through this. And, one of the biggest reasons would be your culture and how strong that is. And I think you've got some slides or some information that you've kind of put together to kind of walk us through, why it's so strong, how you guys are maintaining it and leading your people, through this, turbulent time.
Yes, I mean, we've all really been thrust into this new normal. I mean, I'm in my 7-year-old's bedroom working. That's where my, my home office is right now. And so, all of us all of a sudden are working from home, kids are home. In addition to our day-to-day jobs, now we've also become the lunch and breakfast lady. We've become the janitor. We've become the teacher, PE teacher. I mean, the list goes on and on for all of us. And so we're incredibly fortunate. Our org developers put together kind of a 3-step approach for us. So I'd love to share my screen. Let's see if this works. All right, is that working?
Yeah, looks great.
Okay, perfect. Let's see. Let's go to presentation mode. All right, there we go. All good? So as I mentioned, we've really just been thrust into this new normal. And so our org team laid out this 3-phased approach. So the first step was really focused on well-being. How is everybody doing? This is a lot of change. Now we're working from home. We're dealing with, so many external pressures as well. So the first phase was really focused on employees and promoting physical and their mental well-being. Is everybody doing okay? The second step was really focused on distance coaching. Okay, we're in this now. How do we stay connected? How do we make sure that we're leading? We're setting clear expectations, tight feedback loops. We're creating or helping to create those boundaries now for those of us that are new to working from home to create that balance between work and personal life. And then now we're really in the resilience phase. So we're really looking at how do we continue to lead and inspire both optimism and realism simultaneously, just to help, the org bounce back. So I'll walk through distance coaching and resilience. But in the background, as you kind of progress through all of the different stages of COVID-19 and how you were feeling, we were really focused on keeping our employees in the growth zone. So right out of the gate, our leaders were really, really focused on, does everybody have a purpose? What is their purpose? What are they doing? We want to make sure that everybody is doing something and contributing. If any of their work is paused, can they jump in and help another team? So there was a lot of loaning the love happening at Southwest where people were like, okay, my work is kind of paused right now. Let me jump in and help another team with any of the analytics or any of the customer surveys that we're doing. But really, again, making sure that our employees are really moving toward the growth zone. So how can they use skills to service others in need? We're really strengths-based organization. We've really been focused on strengths, and my team has a lot of empathy. And so they felt a lot of this for themselves, for their teammates. And so just making sure that we're showing empathy to ourselves and to each other, but then getting to the point where you aren't just focused on the back and the what if and the good old days, but how do we live in the present? How do we focus on the future? How do I keep myself emotionally happy and transmit hope? How do I show gratefulness? How do I adapt quickly? And then how do I practice calmness, patience, and then focus on relationships and creativity? So first was distance coaching, and we really dug into 3 key tenets: individualization, communication, and accountability. So for individualization, it was really know your people, right? Some people feel really isolated working at home. My team especially, we are used to being out, we're used to being on the road, we're used to meeting with our partners, with each other, we're a very collaborative group. So we were missing the day-to-day interaction, and we ended up doing happy hours at my house where we were socially distancing in my driveway because we just needed to see each other and feed off each other and fill our tanks that way. But there were other teams that loved working from home and loved, being, having, that time at home and not having to go into the office. Some people are really thriving on just those short-term goals and getting that stuff done. Others are really concerned about the future and the unknown. Some love being engaged and having that nonstop access to work, and others really need help creating that boundary between home and office. So again, just really individualizing, knowing your team, understanding how your management style can help them just deliver their best. Communication was the next tenet. And so again, now that we're home, now that we're not together all day, every day, communication was going to be key. So how do you keep that communication open? How do you establish, is it more team meetings? Is it more team calls? Is it just letting your team know a window that you're available daily in case they need anything? Leading with positive intent, really focusing on the future. When you focus on their future, the individual's talent, you really motivate performance and inspire engagement. Maintain those feedback loops. People really need to know and hear that they're either on the right track, or if they're not on the right track, how to get back on the right track. And then, so important, just make sure that people know their value. They need to know that their work matters. It's such an unsettling time. We don't have control over a lot of stuff. So anything that you've got your folks working on, just make sure they know how valued they are, that it matters, that it's how it's contributing to the overall business, and just how it's bolstering, efforts overall. And the next and the last kind of piece of distance coaching then, of course, was the accountability. So really establishing those clear expectations with your team. So establishing clear responsibilities, collaborating with your team to make sure that you are both aligned on what success looks like, and then also just aligned on how your role is impacting your team and company needs. And then, as difficult as it is, especially in a time of crisis, it's so easy to avoid conflict, right? You don't want to make anybody else more unhappy. Everything is, so crazy as it is. But resolving conflict and resolving it quickly is one of the things that we can really do to build trust and build it quickly. So that was kind of phase 2. That was the distance coaching. And I'm happy to share this, Kern, with you. And if anybody's interested, I'm happy to forward it. But now we're really in the resilience phase. And how do we move forward? How do we get through this? How do we overcome? Because like I said, we're in a fight, and we are fighting for our employees. We're fighting for our customers. And so resilience is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties, employing mental toughness. When we are resilient, we know how to cope in spite of setbacks, barriers, or limited resources. The American Psychological Association says that resilience isn't a trait that people learn. You either have it or you don't. And it involves behaviors, thoughts, and actions that can be learned and developed in anyone. So Jim Stockdale, who's featured in Jim Collins's book Good to Great, spent 8 years as a prisoner of war in a prisoner of war camp during Vietnam, and during endless psychological abuse, physical torture, but he ultimately survived and went on to become the first 3-star officer in the history of the Navy. And when people asked him, he said, because he never lost faith in the end of the story. So when Jim Collins interviewed Admiral Stockdale, he asked him, how were you able to survive this? And he said, when so many of how was he able to survive it when his fellow soldiers did not? And he said it came down to 2 things. It was optimism and it was realism. So in terms of optimism, he never lost faith in the end of the story. He never doubted that he would get out, but he also knew that he would prevail in the end and turn the experience into the defining event of his life, which in retrospect, he wouldn't trade. Combining that with realism though, there were some people who said, we're gonna be out by Christmas, and then Christmas would come and go. Then they'd say, we're gonna be out by Easter, and Easter would come and go. And then Thanksgiving, then it would be Christmas again. And ultimately they died of a broken heart. And so you must never confuse faith that you will prevail in the end, which you can never afford to lose, with the discipline to confront the most brutal facts of your current reality, whatever they might be. So now they call this the Stockdale Paradox. And so it's finding that healthy tension between optimism and realism. And again, optimism is really retaining that faith that you will prevail in the end, regardless of the difficulties, and meshing that with confronting the most brutal facts of your current reality, whatever they might be. So I just wanted to share an example. As I mentioned, we've got some incredible leaders guiding us through this, and Gary is just remarkable. And, he's living this for us, in the moment. And so he's been doing a series called Ask Gary. It's on YouTube if anybody wants to see it. And it's truly just he does, I think, 2 a week. And it's just updates, everything from how Southwest Business is doing, how we're doing from a cleaning perspective. And this one, I think, had the most views. But again, he's sharing the reality of what we're going through. This is a pandemic. Our country has literally shut down. Our traffic is virtually 0, which means we'll lose over $1 billion in revenue in April alone. So while we don't want to think about it, while we don't want to think about the fact that we've grounded hundreds of aircraft and, canceled about 50% of our flights, that's the reality and that's what we're going through. But then the optimism is, so what do? Do we give up? Of course not. We fight. We fight, and we know that we have the right people. We know we have cash. We know we have a strong balance sheet. But again, that's how he's leading us through, is he's not sugarcoating anything, right? This is reality, and it's tough, and we have to acknowledge that. But he's also leading with optimism and belief that we will get through this and that we have the tools and people to get us through. So just a few, just thoughts for you guys as you're going through this is, where have you lived recently? Are you wishful? Are you committed? Are you helpless? Are you surrendered? Talk to your teams, where do you live on the change curve? Are you living more in anxiety and fear? Have you gotten up to hope and enthusiasm? And, how can you help your teams kind of get there as well? Here's some actions to take if your folks are in the anxiety and fear stage or confusion. Ask them questions to further understand the change and how they're going through that. Be transparent and honest with yourself and how you're feeling about the change. If they're at hope and enthusiasm, take time to reflect and recharge, help others through the change curve. It's so important. And then just continue to seek opportunities for the future. So commitment to yourself, know where you are on the change curve, what actions you can employ to increase both your accurate reality and your hopeful outlook. And then, consider your team and where they are on the change curve and how can you increase their accurate reality, their helpful outlook, and how can you help leaders kind of inspire that as well? So I know that was a lot, but I just thought it was really, really relevant right now, just with everything that we're going through, and it's really helped us manage.
Wow, that is spectacular. You're going to share that with us?
I can send I can send that your way.
Oh, that'd be great. We'd love to share that. I learned a lot. I don't know if you can see my Good to Great book up there behind me. I love that book. And we have an esteemed member of our viewership right now who knows Admiral Stockdale and had a beer with him in his backyard one day. Mr. Joe Ruzicka, thank you for joining, and thank you for your service in the Navy. So you never know what kind of connections you might make, and thanks for sharing that. I know we only have a few more minutes. One thing I wanted to ask you was, I've learned a lot about my team through all of this. You engage in, different ways. And as you so rightly pointed out, everyone is kind of going through their new normal sort of, differently or, in different stages. Any examples you can think of what you learned or how your team sort of, pulled through this in, exemplary ways?
There's so much to be proud of. I mean, I think they're tenacious. They have not given up. My team especially has been impacted by, the pause in all of the sports, and they've just really jumped in to help other teams. They've jumped into projects. They've been, learning beyond themselves, but then they've also been patient, and that's so hard during this time, to really just be able to sit back and think through, okay, we don't know what we don't know yet. And so that's been, I think, a strength that a lot of us have had to kind of dig into. But, they truly have just been, they've been there for each other. They were a really close team, but they've been there through each other. We've had people move. We've had, people that have lost family members through all of this. So, like I said earlier, we have a lot of empathy on the team. So we've really just been there for each other physically, socially. Now we've got folks that have kind of traveled out to be with family and friends to help, help maintain families during all of this. But they've just been incredibly strong, incredibly resilient, and they've helped me get through all of this more than they know.
Yeah, well, that's your culture, right? Very, it's something everyone I know, or not everyone, but many people follow and try to emulate. So I'm sure that's been really helpful for you during these times. So what's next? What's tomorrow look like? What's the rest of the summer look like?
Well, we really, everybody, I can't tell how many folks are on here, but we could just really use your help getting the word out that it's safe to travel again. We've really been listening to our customers, working hard to make sure the in-flight experience is as safe and as clean as possible. We're requiring face coverings in flight. We're currently keeping the middle seat open through at least July to, allow for that social distancing in flight. We're cleaning thoroughly between flights with, an extra focus on seats and seat belts and buttons and armrests and tray tables, overhead bins. And then we have this new technology, this electrostatic disinfectant and an antimicrobial spray that's applied to the surface on every aircraft that really kills the virus on contact. We've got modified boarding, again, to allow for more social distancing. And then I think what a lot of people don't know is every aircraft is equipped with a sophisticated air circulation system that introduces fresh air into the cabin while in flight. And then we also have these HEPA air filters on board that remove 99.97% of airborne particles, which is similar to the technology found in hospitals. So I think those are some big changes. We've been listening to our customers and their needs, and really working hard to make sure that the in-flight experience is as safe and clean as possible. So we're ready to travel. We're here for you whenever you're ready to travel. The beach is absolutely calling my name. And so my family and I are ready to book. We're ready to get on a plane and get somewhere fun. So we're hearing beaches and mountains are kind of where people are leaning.
Well, looks like, almost 2/3 of the audience is ready to get back on a plane. So hopefully many of the people here will, be on those planes of yours, sooner rather than later. And thank you for sharing how safe it is to get back on those planes. I'm sure everybody can benefit from that information. And I hope they all do that, very, very soon. Mel, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for sharing the information that you did. It's incredible. I hope if you can share that with us, we'll get it to our viewers and our members. I thought it was incredibly helpful. So again, really appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much, Kern, and thank you all so much for being here today. And we look forward to serving you whenever you're ready to travel again. We're here for you.
Great. And everybody, don't forget our friends at Black Sports Professionals North Texas. They are a tremendous group of people. I hope you'll support them. And I think Carla posted a link to their happy hour. And we've got one last push. For every dollar that you donate to North Texas Food Bank, it gives you provides 3 family box meals. And with our matching gifts from our friends at the Rangers, the Stars, and the Mavericks, that turns into 12. So imagine for every dollar you give, that's 12 meals. If we can make one last push today, we'd love to maximize that matching from our friends at the teams and see how much we can help those who really need it. And it's just a tremendous reflection of the spirit of our community that just been a couple of months of webinars like these that we're able to raise some money and talks about how that speaks to how special this community is. So to everyone, thank you guys for joining us. And as always, we'll be back online soon with what our plans are next. Couldn't think of a better guest to have wrapped up this segment of what we were doing. So thank you again, Mal. Thank you guys for joining, tuning in, and we'll see everybody soon. Thank you.